Ethan Caldwell adjusted the holodisplay in front of him, eyes narrowing at the flickering images. The archive room on the orbital research station was silent, except for the low hum of the environmental systems. The footage was from a deep space excavation on the edge of the Lyra Rift, a sector of the galaxy believed abandoned for millennia. What the scanners had picked up had sent shockwaves through human colonies. The figure moving in the ruins was impossibly powerful, almost mythic. A precursor warrior, a species thought extinct for 50,000 years. But Ethan knew better. He had seen the same movements in simulations, cataloged in military training data, the way the shoulders shifted, the fluidity of the steps, the precision of strikes. He whispered under his breath, almost to himself, "Mute it. That's me on a bad day." His colleagues, scattered around the lab, barely noticed. For them, it was another discovery of alien technology, another data point for interstellar history. But Ethan's instincts screamed differently. Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy, often dismissed as fragile or unremarkable. Yet in the footage, he saw echoes of human ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability, qualities no simulation could replicate. The precursor warrior advanced through the ruins with mechanical precision, but there was a hesitation in its step, a subtle flaw. Ethan recognized it immediately. "It's reacting," he murmured, "to human unpredictability." No one responded. They were too busy analyzing the alien architecture, theorizing about weaponry and defense mechanisms. But Ethan's mind raced. He had been in combat simulations, had faced scenarios that no human had dared attempt in real war zones. And yet here it was, a being that could level a city with a flick of its arm, but still, it faltered in ways that a human could exploit. He leaned back, imagining the full scope. If humans could integrate with the ancient precursor technologies, adapt them without fear, they could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. The footages were not just historical artifacts. They were a blueprint, a challenge, and a warning. Ethan's mind drifted to his upbringing on Terra Nova, a mining colony at the fringe of human space. He had grown up scavenging wrecks of old freighters, learning to improvise weapons, tools, even communication devices from scraps. The colony had no formal military, no advanced research labs, just necessity and ingenuity. That necessity had honed a human trait the galaxy often underestimated: creativity under pressure. And now, staring at the warrior, he realized that trait was his most dangerous weapon. "Dr. Caldwell?" A voice pulled him back. Lieutenant Mira Chen stood at the doorway, arms crossed, skepticism etched into her features. "Are you seriously comparing yourself to a precursor warrior?" Ethan didn't look up. "Not comparing. Observing human adaptability," he said. "We aren't the strongest species in terms of raw power, but our unpredictability, our ability to improvise in ways no algorithm can predict, that makes us lethal." Mira shook her head, but there was a glimmer of curiosity in her eyes. "And you think you could replicate that against one of these things?" "I don't think, Mira. I know," Ethan said simply, tapping the side of the holodisplay. "Look at this moment." He paused the footage at a point where the warrior adjusted to a collapsing wall. "See that? It's calculating the fall, not reacting. Humans don't calculate like that. We react, adapt, survive." The room was silent. Data streams scrolled across the walls, alien symbols decoding themselves in real time. Most researchers were trained to see patterns, predict outcomes, quantify everything. Ethan trained differently. He trained to survive chaos. "Ethan, this is insane," Mira said, voice quieter now. "Even if what you're saying is true, no human could—" "No human has tried," Ethan interrupted, finally looking up. His gaze was steady, unwavering. "And that's why they'll never see us coming." Over the next weeks, Ethan assembled a small team of specialists who shared his vision. They weren't the top-ranked scientists or the highest-trained soldiers. They were scavengers, engineers, pilots, humans who thrived where rules broke down, where systems failed, where others would panic. The station's AI monitored their movements, analyzing everything, but even it struggled to anticipate the human improvisations. They trained with the footage as their guide, learning to mimic the Precursor's movements, then deliberately breaking them at unpredictable moments. They discovered patterns within chaos, turning instinct into strategy. When Ethan first executed a maneuver that forced the holographic warrior into an unanticipated stumble, the team erupted in cheers. "We've got it!" he shouted. But it wasn't just a victory over a simulation, it was a revelation. Humans weren't designed to dominate by brute force. They dominated by turning weaknesses into strengths, improvising solutions no alien species could imagine, surviving impossible odds. In the grand tapestry of the galaxy, this was the trait no one else anticipated. Months later, when the team finally deployed to the ruins of the Lyra Rift, the Precursor artifacts were real, and the warrior in the footage became a living, breathing threat. Ethan led the operation with a calm intensity. Each movement was deliberate yet adaptive. Every decision layered with contingency after contingency, yet flexible enough to embrace the unexpected. The first encounter was brief, but decisive. The warrior's strength was unmatched, but its tactics were rigid. Ethan exploited the gaps, his instincts amplified by the creativity only a human could bring. By the end, the Precursor retreated, not defeated, but cautious. And in that moment, Ethan understood what the footage had shown him all along. Humanity wasn't just surviving in the galaxy. Humanity was rewriting the rules. Back on the station, Ethan watched the replay once more. The warrior on the screen paused mid-strike, the flickering light catching the contours of its armor. He whispered again, a small smile on his face. "Mute it. That's me on a bad day." The team around him chuckled softly, but there was awe in their eyes. Not at Ethan, not at the warrior, but at the revelation of what humans could do when no one expected them to. The galaxy had underestimated them for centuries. It would no longer make that mistake. Ethan Caldwell looked out at the stars through the viewport, endless, cold, and indifferent. Yet in that vast darkness, he saw a place for humanity, not just as survivors, but as a force of ingenuity, unpredictability, and unstoppable adaptability. The Precursor warrior had been a warning, but it was also a mirror. And in that mirror, humans finally saw themselves clearly. They were not the strongest, they were not the most advanced, but in the unpredictable chaos of life, in the crucible of survival and creativity, they were unmatched. And that was something no alien species, no ancient warrior, and no cosmic anomaly could ever anticipate.